Hi guys, welcome to another video. I hope you've enjoyed my previous gameplay videos where I always strive to give you quality content and interesting builds for you to improve your gameplay and to strategize better. Also a quick shout out to all my subscribers because you guys are the motivation for me to continue creating content on this channel. Having said that, today will be a new type of video. Today we're talking about Dawn of War basics. This will be a series of video and this is the first part of that series. So without further ado, let's begin. So this is the Elf's talent tree in Dawn of War. As you can see here, we'll be going into more in-depth details in following slides. So the level 10 talent, you can either pick a front lane priority or rear lane priority. So what is front lane priority? So there are different scenarios. The first one is if both you and your teammate pick front, the person with the higher health would go front. If you pick front and your teammate did not pick, you would go front. And if you pick front and your teammate pick rear, obviously you would go front. Yeah, so this is quite straightforward. So moving on to the rear lane priority. So this is where it gets tricky. If both you and your teammate pick rear, the person with higher health would go front, not rear. If you pick rear and your teammate did not pick, you would go rear. If you pick rear and your teammate picked front, you would go rear. Yep. So the big question, front lane or rear lane? So this question, simply put, it depends on your lineup. So when to pick front? Usually you pick front when you have heroes with good crowd control spells and big AoEs. So heroes like Phoenix, where you would want Phoenix to be in front with a refresher orb so that the egg burst can actually stun most of the enemies. Underlord, so that he can put his Pit of Malice and Firestorm. Disruptor, so that you can set up teamfights well with your static field as well as your static storm. Medusa with your stone gaze to stone as many targets as possible. Zeus, long range AoE with your ulti, which can damage as many units as possible. Your Warlock as well, with your Infernal Golems, and has a BKB piercing ultimate, which is very important. Nature's Prophet ulti he would actually cast his ulti only when he meets the target. That's why if you pick Nature's Prophet for rear, he will cast his ultimate very late. Witch Doctor is very powerful when you have Aghanim's Refresher and BKB, because the Death Ward early game does a ton of damage and he has carried me a lot in many games. Pugna is very underrated. Pugna with a Refresher Orb and Aeon Disc, all you need to do is disable your ultimate and disable Decupify. Just leave the first skill and the Nether Ward. I've actually uploaded a video on how strong Pugna is on my YouTube channel. It's called Pugna Laser Show, so you can go and check it out to see how strong Pugna is. So why do you want to pick front? Why front? Okay, so front allows your heroes to get off their spells fast before BKB procs. And then a follow-up point is that it allows you to burst the opponent and force their BKB usage prematurely. So for example, you are playing Zeus. For Zeus, his ultimate does a ton of damage, right? When you have a Refresher Orb, he would cast double ultimate really fast. And for the Dawn of War AI, they would cast their BKB once their HP drop a certain threshold, maybe like 50%, that's when they'll cast their BKBs. So if you pick front and you're playing Zeus, you would double ultimate fast, they will take their damage and their BKBs will proc. And when this happens, their BKB would be almost gone by the time they reach the team fight. This means that your back lane can actually come and clear them out really easily. Also, if you pick front, you are guaranteed front lane if you have higher HP. This is a certainty, that's why it's important. You're also able to control the initiation and team fight as well. Also, another point is that naturally, spellcasters are very important for early to mid game. Because during the early to mid game, most damage comes from heroes that can deal lots of damage with little to no items. You don't expect a Draw Ranger to carry you from round 10 onwards, right? You probably expect like a Zeus, a Witch Doctor, a Warlock to carry you early game. So this is why it's important. And because spellcasters are important and more prevalent in the early game, it's better if you pick front so that they can get off their spells really fast. If you have a melee carry, it's easier for you to use Delayer or Teleporter on one or two carries rather than Delayer or Teleporter multiple spellcasters at the same time. So moving on. So this is a sample video of my gameplay that shows how initiation is so important, especially with heroes like Disruptor, Medusa, and Winter Wyvern in the front lane. Yeah. So I want you to take note at Medusa's positioning. Why all the way in front? Usually people play Medusa on the last square, right? But I play right in front because I want as many units as possible to be affected by my Stone Gaze. And also I want you to note that I have a refresher up on my Medusa and BKB. So this means that she's guaranteed to get off double Stone Gaze, which would actually stone the first frontline enemy as well as the rear lane enemy. So what this does is that it keeps all the enemies in front, and it's easier for us to clean them up as well. And by stoning them, you are also neutralizing any threats that the opponent team has, because it's really hard for them to jump in. And I have a Winter Wyvern for Winter's Curse as well as a Disruptor, Static Field, and Ultimate. So Static Field actually prevents them from going forward, and the opponent will not proc their BKBs when they are stuck behind the Static Field. So this is an important thing to note for the Dawn of War AI. So let's watch the video and see how it plays out.
Dire victory.
Yeah, so as you can see in the video, by the time the Morphling actually jumps over, most of his teammates is dead. Yeah, we have the numbers advantage by then. Okay, so moving on. When do you pick rear? So you pick rear when your heroes that are very reliant on your opponent team clustering together. So some of these heroes will be Centaur War Runner with your Blink, BKB Refresher, Hoof Storm, and Ultimate. You want to hit as many targets as possible for the maximum amount of damage. And also the later your ultimate comes out, the better, because it actually reduces damage, right? There is damage mitigation from your ultimate. Yeah, so you want a damage mitigation when the BKB starts activating. If your centaur was in the front lane, you would cast your ultimate too fast, too quickly, and during that duration of your ultimate, there is no damage taken, so you're actually wasting that duration of ultimate that was being casted. And also when you have your centaur in the front, you're actually forcing your opponent's back lane heroes to rush to the front as quickly as possible. So this means that all your units will be clumped up together, your front lane units and your teammates back lane units, and when this happens, it'll be very easy for your opponent to have a big AoE hero to come and clear you up. Yeah, so this is why it's very important to only play centaur at the back. Okay, next we have Timbersaw. So yeah, same logic as well. Timbersaw, you would like them to clump up together so that your spells, your chakram, can hit as many targets as possible. You have Snapfire. I think this one needs no explanation. Just put a refresher orb on your Snapfire and let him rip. Earthshaker. I think this is one of everyone's favorite hero. Yeah, so as long as everyone starts clumping up, Earthshaker's Echo Slam is going to do a lot of damage. Next, we have heroes that are very reliant on BKB usage for survival. So these are heroes that typically gets kited very easily or has to be in melee range. These are usually melee carries like Savan, Slug, Meepo, right? Slug he relies very heavily on the BKB and his ulti Shadow Dance. That's why you see Slugs always goes for BKB refresher or yeah. And then we have Meepo as well. Meepo combo can be with a Centaur, can be with an Earthshaker. Any melee hero will be fine. So why do you want to pick Rear? Rear because it allows you to avoid most damage, most spells in team fights. So big team fights, big team fight spells like Disruptors, Ulti, Warlock Golem, Medusa Stone Gaze, like mentioned before, will be avoided by you, or even Enigma's Black Hole, because you are in the rear. By the time you reach the front, most of these spells will have been casted as well. Yeah. So it's safer, especially for melee carries, to enter the team fight. Opponents' BKBs would most likely be on cooldown. Like I mentioned, front lane, your responsibility is to have a spellcaster to burst them down and to force their BKB's usage. So by the time you reach the team fight, most of them would be off BKB and you can clear them up easily. And another thing is it allows you to maximize your BKB usage, because your BKB wouldn't proc as early, so by the time you reach the team fight, your BKB will still be fresh. Yeah. Okay, so I would like to point out that this is a 1v1 stage already, which means that there is no front lane and rear lane, everyone is front lane. However, by putting a teleporter on my heroes, this acts as a rear lane as well. So I teleported my Centaur and my Ursa. So technically my Ursa and my Centaur is as good as playing rear lane for 2v2. Yeah. So why I do this is because I want my Disruptor and Medusa to set up the spells properly and get them clustered up together, get them to clump up, so that when my Centaur and my Ursa jump, it'll be way easier for them to take them down. If my Centaur and my Ursa was not teleported and I just let them be with Assassin Medal, when they jump, the enemy heroes would actually be quite far from my Medusa and my Disruptor, which means that they will not get affected or trapped by Stone Gaze and Static Storm. So this game is particularly important for them to have teleporters, because my enemy was playing attack free heroes. So watch this video and then yeah, you can understand better. Okay, yeah, so as you see, they were all trapped in the static field and static storm and stone gaze. So it'll be very easy for my Centaur and Ursa to come and clear them up. So this is an example of why picking rear is important, or actually using teleporter and assassin medal in the solo stage is important, because there is no rear lane. So moving on. Okay, level 15 talents. We have free to reset ability and plus 300 gold when winning. So why pick free to reset ability? Normally it costs 600 gold to reset the hero's ability. So when you pick a free to reset abilities, you're able to roll for important talents such as the below. And also because most of the time your talents are not rolled correctly, and those talents are important, and you cannot wait for tombs to drop, because it takes us a long time for tombs to actually drop. By the time tombs drop, you would probably have lost a lot of life because you had the wrong talent. Yeah, so talents are more important early to mid game before tombs start dropping. You don't have to rely on luck for the correct talents. You create your own luck, you create your own destiny. Another thing is instant reward. There is no risk involved as compared to plus 300 gold when winning. So why pick 300 gold when winning? Because if you consistently win battles, you are able to stack up a huge gold lead over your opponent. And in Dawn of War, it's all about strategy and goal. Any advantage that you can get over your opponent is always good. Okay, your heroes are able to carry you early to mid game before tombs drop. That is a good reason for you to pick this talent as well. Next, your talents on core heroes are rolled correctly. So for example, you're playing Klings, and your Klings level 25 talent is rolled for Death Pact, not Searing Arrows. So that's a problem, because you would want the Searing Arrows for multi-shot. So you need to roll your talent. Okay, so let's do some math, simple math, to find out which one is better. Assume you are unlucky and all 6 hero talents are wrong. It will cost you 6 times 600 gold equals to 3600 gold. So that's a total of 3600 gold saved. Sometimes you might need to roll more than once for each hero depending on the opponents you face. For example, Warlock. Yeah, I'm sorry I did not insert the Warlock talent tree here. I inserted it in the later slides. So I will get back to the Warlock's talent tree and discuss that later. Alright, yeah. On the other hand, if each battle won gives us 300 gold, we need to win 3600 by 300, so that's 12 battles. Remember I said battles, not rounds. So the average battles per game, probably 15 to 25. Yeah, it depends, right? But yeah, the main question is, are you confident enough to win 80% of battles with the wrong talents? I think this is very tough, and also it's very risky as there are multiple factors involved, such as luck in team fights. What if the opponent's Winter Wyvern curse your Juggernaut instead of your Abaddon, for example? That is part of luck. Teammate synergy. What if your teammate, is playing Meeples and Centaur and he picked the front line instead of the rear lane? Yeah, then you would have a problem, because when your Meeples jump in so early, their BKBs run out very fast and they will die quickly. Also your opponent's lineup. Maybe your opponent's lineup counters yours because you are playing all attack free medals heroes, and they have a park. They have Juggernauts, they have Centaurs, they have very good jumpers to destroy you. And also, the most underrated. What if your opponent has a 5 times lose streak? This means that their strength heroes would have 5 times 5 armor, 25 additional armor. They would also have additional attack speed, as well as 5 times 10% spell and 50% additional spell and so that's quite crazy here. Yeah, and if you're unlucky to team up against them, you probably lose quite hard. Yeah, so in short, I highly recommend going for the free to reset ability because it's less risky, and like I mentioned, it's an instant reward. It's not reliant on you winning battles. You're able to reset all your heroes' talents correctly. Alright, moving on. We have free to reset abilities. Sorry, it should be protection from death uh, and -5 supply talent. Yeah, so this one is wrong. It's 5 supply talent and protection from death. So what is protection from death? When this talent is taken, little Aegis appears beside your name. Yeah, so yeah, sorry I did not insert the Aegis here. Yeah, it's just a small Aegis beside your name to indicate that you have taken protection from death. Okay, so how does this work? When your health should have dropped to 0, the Aegis is consumed and you'll be left with 1% life, and yeah. So another way of looking at it is, since the max possible life loss is 20 to 25%, depending on whether it's the double stage or the solo stage. Another way to look at it is, this talent gives you 20 or 25% life. Yeah. So what is -5 supply talent? At the end of every round, you would normally lose 100 gold for each supply over the limit. For example, 21-20, so you will lose 100 gold. When taking this talent, you would not lose 500 gold for going over the supply limit by 5. For example, 30 out of 25. So normally people who have reached level 21, you would decide whether you want to take -5 supply, whether you would want to take protection from death, yeah, or some people will actually not take any, which I see it as no point. There's no point in not taking a talent, because if you have decided to go for 6 heroes, it means that you need the -5 supply talent. If you are playing 6 heroes and you did not take the -5 supply talent and you choose not to take any talent, you would actually be losing 500 gold every round. By not taking, uh, you're actually losing potential income, which is 500 gold that you could have had by taking a talent. So if you're not taking it, you're obviously going to take the supply. I mean, you're obviously going to take the protection from that talent. So there's no point in keeping and holding it for surprise, like when you are going to die and then you pick the talent and then you consume magis immediately. Yeah, there's no surprise factor in that. You could have just picked the protection from death if you have decided to go for just 5 euros. Yeah. So when to take protection from death? When you're low on life, at risk of getting eliminated. As for example, maybe you're the bottom 4 and you're going to lose soon and you're playing late game hero, so you should take this talent. Also, if you're facing a very tough game and you feel like you need the extra breathing space, the extra life, take this talent. And if you have very few item intensive heroes, uh, probably mid to late game heroes, and you need time to itemize them, then you should take this talent. Most of the time, if you are playing early game heroes like Warlock, Disruptor, Witch Doctor, which I recommend, you should be quite safe with going -5 supply, because early game magic damage rules, and going by magic damage you would actually be high on health because you wouldn't lose that much life, because your big AoEs and spells would actually kill most of the enemy units, even if they were rushing for one carry such as Klings or Draw Ranger. You could have just wiped the entire team and just left one Klings there. You would only lose 2.5 life, right? Yeah, so that's fine. So when to take -5 supply talent? When you have a very dominant early game with plenty of life, like I mentioned with spellcasters. Very few item intensive heroes. Yeah, so normally I would go for 6 heroes, 6 to 7 heroes, 1 tank, 3 to 4 spellcasters, 1 support, maybe one carry. Yeah. Another time to take it is when additional hero from normally you take 5 for protection from death, right? 6 heroes would actually make your team fight stronger. So when you do that, you would want to take the -5 supply talent, because the additional hero would not require that much item, but just being on the field itself will provide so much value to your team fight. Heroes such as Silencer and Winter Wyvern for their ultimates. So level 25 talents would be extra neutral items and Tome of Upgrade times 2. Two Tome of Upgrades. So before I answer the question of when to take extra neutral item, we need to ask ourselves, when does neutral item drop? So this information is actually available in Dawn of War itself. When you move your cursor on the top where it says the round number, it actually gives you this drop down information. So as you can see, neutral item drops at every 2 rounds from round 21 and 31 to 35. That's when the biggest drop. Sorry, not 2 rounds. 4. Yeah, for neutral item, and Tomb of Upgrade drops every 2 rounds. Yes, sorry. Yeah. So how does extra neutral item drop? Neutral item work. When you take that talent, random neutral item will be dropped. However, it's not so straightforward. Okay, there are 3 scenarios. The first scenario: if the neutral item have not dropped in the game, a random tier 1 neutral item would drop. So what does this mean? Refer to the previous slide. Let's say you are level 25 and you took this talent extra neutral item drop at round 19, for example. Round 19, neutral item has not dropped in the game yet, so you would get a tier 1 neutral item because neutral item has not dropped in the game yet. Make sense? Alright, let's move on to scenario 2. If neutral item have dropped in the game, a random current tier plus 1 neutral item would drop. So what does this mean? This might be a bit confusing, but stay with me. Let's refer back to the previous slide. So let's say it's round 28. Okay, round 28. This means that tier 3 neutral item has already dropped in the game, and you are level 25. you just pick the extra neutral item drop. So you will get a current tier, which is tier 3 plus 1, which means it's tier 4. So you will get a random tier 4 neutral item drop. Alright, it's as simple as that. So the third scenario, if tier 5 neutral item have dropped in the game, a random tier 1 to 5 neutral item will drop. So the same thing as before, if you had taken that talent, scale up this talent past round 35 after your tier 5 neutral item has dropped, you will not be guaranteed either a tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. It will be completely random. The tier will be random, the item will be random, everything will be completely random. So it's all about luck. If you're able to get another tier 5 item drop, good for you. That's the best case scenario. So when to pick Tome of Upgrade? So the first scenario is because all your 8 heroes are very heavily reliant on both sides of the talent tree. So as you can see for Warlock, okay, so let me just talk more about Warlock's talent tree because I did not put in the screenshot previously. We look at Warlock's talent tree. It is very interesting because level 10 is fine. Level 10 you normally go for Chaotic Offering because you would already have 24 Fatal Bonds damage and plus 3 more is only a very small increase from 24 to 27. Level 15, normally you will disable Upheaval because Upheaval delays your Warlock's ultimate, so you will just go for Shadow Word. Level 20, you will go for Summons Golem on Death because like I mentioned, plus 25 Shadow Word Q damage is not very significant, it's just a small increase on its base damage already. Level 25 is when it gets interesting. Normally, most of the time you want to go for the armor, plus 20 Chaotic Offering Golem's armor, because early game there isn't much physical damage. However, sometimes the opponents might have very strong magic damage such as Tinker, Skyra or something like that, okay? And when they have very strong magic damage, you would want to actually have the magic resistance instead. Make sense? So this is why it's important for you to take free to reset abilities so that when you're facing opponents lineup with very strong magic damage, you can reroll your level 25 talent for magic resistance. And then when you're facing opponent with very strong physical damage, you can reroll your Warlock's talent for 20 Chaotic Offering Golem's armor. Right? So this is very flexible on why you should take free to reset abilities. Okay, why pick Tome of Upgrade for this? Because both talents are actually important. The armor and the magic resistance. It makes your golem so much more tanky. And the longer they stand there is more damage dealt to the opponent because of the immolation and the fire feast as well. Right. So second is Spectre. Spectre, for example, level 25 talent is very important. You have dispersion and your magic resistance. So dispersion is just straight up 10% dispersion, which is damage reduction. Magic resistance 40% is a very big amount when you are facing very strong magic lineups. So both talents are very important. That's why you would want to have Tome of Upgrade for these two heroes. Next we have Clings. So normally early game you want Searing Arrows multi-shot because multi-shot is just important, so you can hit multiple targets, and this will actually increase the value of items that you purchase on Clings since there's more DPS output, right? But you would also want the 20%, the 23% death pack health damage talent as well for late game to boost your Cling's damage output as well. Strafe cooldown is important as well, and attack range. Attack range is king, as you know. That's why people always go for Ballista, Growth Bow for range carries. And if you have Strafe cooldown, your Cling's most of the time can have his Strafe up, which means that you do not need to have too much attack speed items on Cling's. Yeah. So these three are very important heroes for Tome Upgrade. If 8 of your heroes are like that, please pick this talent. Another scenario is you level your elf to level 25 really early. You have 7 heroes on the battlefield, and these heroes all need the tombs before the game drops a tomb. So as we see previously, the tomb drops at round 25. So this might be too late for you. That's why you would probably want to take it if your heroes are very reliant on tombs and it's not round 25 yet. Okay, another thing to note is that the game will drop you 6 tombs in total. So please think wisely. Only pick this talent if you really need all the talents for your 2 extra heroes. If they are not that important and you can live without it, please do not pick this, because the extra tomb, extra neutral item is very important. For example, extra neutral item gives your heroes a very huge power spike for Spectre, Berserker, and Mars if they have God of War. These are heroes that have passive abilities that makes them who they are, right? But if they get broken, they are very easily killed. If let's say they get broken by Doom with Aghanim Scepter or Shadow Demon with Aghanim Scepter, so using a God of War prevents that. Stone for spellcasters is very important because you would want the range and the mana regen, as well as the spell damage. One example is Skyroth Mage Tinker. So an extra neutral item allows you to actually you have a chance of getting that. Yeah, that is good for your team is very important as well. It boosts your attack range and cast range. Like I mentioned, range is king for range carries. People always go for Ballista and Growth Bow. Yeah. So when to pick extra neutral item. It gives an extra chance for the neutral item that you want. Like I mentioned, if you pick this talent after tier 5 item has dropped, you have a chance of getting a tier 1 to 5 item. You could get another Growth Bow. You could get another God of War armor. You could have 2 of them. And even if you do not get the neutral item that you want, you can always reroll the extra neutral item to the neutral item that you desire. So this is very important. So we've now come to the end of the first part of the series on Dawn of War basics. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There'll be more to come for this series definitely. I quite enjoyed making this video. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you would like to see for future videos, and I will do my best to upload them. So thank you so much.